Kamala! What a liar! You want to vote for me? We're gonna make America great again. Now with this one, she speaks in gypsy curses. You listen to her, and she puts a curse on you, some type of voodoo shit. I don't know, but I want to make all of us great.
You're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Trump, you're fired.
Reclaiming the White House.
The winner of the 2024 presidential election.
Hey, look what happened.
Donald Trump officially wins the race for president.
The outcome of this election is
Hold on,
not.
let me smoke on that Kamala pack real quick. Ah, nice. The tears of liberals.
Not what we wanted.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the greatest capitalist in the history.
Donald Trump will be the 47th.
Trump's like, he said it, not me, but I am the greatest.
President of the United States.
Hi everybody. 4 years after being impeached
Hi, buddy.
for his role in a violent attack on Congress, 5 months after...
Okay, we gotta talk about that. That January 6th is such, man, what a day that is, just mixed with controversy, and so many people don't know the truth about that day, and even when presented with the truth, they say, I don't care. I don't care about your facts. I want to feel about my feelings. Let me feel my feelings.
being convicted for a felony in New York, and just 3 months after surviving an...
And those felonies are just misdemeanors that the misdemeanors that were politicized that escalated to become felonies. It's insane.
assassination attempt. Donald
I mean, that one was accurate. He did it. There's two attempted assassination attempts that we know about. A potential third one too.
Trump is now back at the White House as the President of the United States of America. And let me tell you that while this is big news for America, it is about to shake the markets of India. Now that Donald Trump
sure.
is in power, he's about...
Him and Modi are best friends. They go up on Discord servers at night, you know, just duoing up on whatever game. Imagine they're playing Scarfall 2 or Indus 2 and they're over there. And they're like, yo, when I get in, don't worry. I hope it says some crazy stuff, but it's just all craziness because don't worry. When we get in, we gonna get it.
about to again reverse the policies that Biden reversed in his tenure after Trump's tenure. And if you've seen Think School's case studies, you
So they're like playing Uno card, and Trump or Biden hit the Uno, and then Trump said, "Nah, we're gonna hit the Uno right back at you."
would know
Or not the Uno, the reverse card. Excuse me.
that America is so crucial for the world that they say that if America sneezes, the entire world catches cold. And to understand the impact of Donald Trump on India, we are referring to this Philip Capital report, which talks about how Donald Trump will impact everything in India, from H-1B visas to the Indian IT industry, to defense, to pharma, to auto, to solar, and to even the geopolitical war between Russia and Ukraine. So in this episode today, let's do a fast-track overview on how will Trump's policies affect India, which sectors of India will be positively affected, which sectors of India will be negatively affected, and most importantly, how will it change the position of India in the geopolitics of the 21st century.
I'm assuming. Hold on. Okay, how will Donald Trump change India? I think he's going to definitely, with it comes to pharmaceuticals and like technology with like your chip manufacturing and distribution. If you guys can compete with China with that level of like distribution and manufacturing on those two things, I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. And obviously, I'm a big fan of the Mahindra and that new BE6 or whatever that thing is, and the other one, the 9 EV. Those are both wickedly cool cars. So if we can get some of those EVs over here too, ooh, I think we could see a beautiful relationship over the next 10 to 20 years.
But before we move on, I want to quickly thank the partners of today's episode, which is Build School. People, today, AI isn't just a tool for the tech savvy, it's reshaping industries, influencing public opinion.
Man, AI is everywhere, right? We can't get past it now. AI is literally going to be, by the end of next year, AI is just going to be a part of our whole daily life. And I promise you, with the new, the quantum computer chip that just came out, things are about to get exponentially weirder, because things that took forever to solve, processing, downloading speeds, all of these different things at such a high level that take a while to do, are about to get done exponentially quicker. Now, I don't know about the resource and the power that's going to take. That's going to be a little different, but ooh, I'm kind of excited and nervous all about AI at the same time. For my anime fans out there, if you watch like Cyberpunk Edge Runners, it was like on Netflix. I definitely think we're gonna head into a world where it's something like the indistinguishable reality, that our reality, virtual reality, and augmented reality are gonna be indistinguishable. You're not even gonna know. It's gonna be like, am I a dream? Am I in a dream, or am I in this reality? It's gonna be real crazy, real soon. If it's not crazy already.
Firstly, let's talk about geopolitics because Trump is very, very radical about Russia, China, and India.
We're going to have a great relationship, but it's got to be a fair relationship. China was taking advantage of the country. I actually looked at some deals. I'd say nobody could be so stupid to sign a deal that's so one-sided.
Let's start with Russia.
And Biden says, "Oh, don't worry. I was asleep when I signed it."
Donald Trump has repeatedly promised to end the Russia-Ukraine war. He says he will broker a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine and he would demilitarize Russian-occupied Ukrainian territories.
If I was president, there would not have been a war with Russia in Ukraine. Zero chance I would have a peace
I really do believe him when he says that.
deal negotiated within 24 hours. Your strength would have never happened.
So guess what?
And then the picture when him and Zelensky actually met and Trump like big brother like big ordered him and was like, "Give me this freaking hand, shake my hand, but we're gonna make this deal. Stop acting out."
If this happens, India will face less pressure from the West, and by chance, if Trump lifts the sanctions on Russia, then Russian oil will enter the world economy, oil prices will go down, wheat prices will go down due to Russia being the biggest supplier of wheat in the world, and several other Russian commodities will bring down the prices due to the increase in supply in the world economy. And this will help us curb inflation in India. And
Isn't it kind of crazy, like by dropping the price of oil, right? By dropping the price of oil, now that's gonna affect everything else, plastics, gas, everything. But then maybe even wheat, oil, driving the price of oil down makes the price of wheat go down as well, which is gonna make other commodities go down because it's involved in wheat and grain manufacturing. It's crazy how like one change can have such a large trickle effect downstream. You know what I mean? Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down? Blows me away.
And just like Russia, Trump's view on China is also very, very clear. Donald Trump absolutely hates China. And this hate is about to reignite one of the biggest trade wars in world history.
I don't think Trump doesn't hate China, right? I don't think Trump looks at like a Chinese person and says, "Ugh, I don't like you." I think he was looking at the deals that were being made, and he's just a businessman, right? If this guy puts down a piece of paper that has a crazy deal and he's not in charge and the other guy looks at it and it's a bad one-sided deal where it's basically like, "Hey, we get everything, you get nothing." I thought I heard Lauren scream out there, sorry. He's like, "Why would you sign that?" And he's over here trying to renegotiate, saying, "Hey, I know this guy signed it, I'm not signing that. We got to redo the deal."
Which is the US-China trade war.
The president-elect has promised to slap 60% tariffs on all Chinese imported goods.
China's leaders will likely be bracing for a ratcheting up of the trade war with the US under a second Trump administration.
As it turns out, Donald Trump plans to slap a massive 60% tariff on Chinese imports. On top of that, Trump also wants to snatch China's golden trading status called the most favored nation. And here's where there is a big opportunity for India. Let me explain how. For those who don't know, MFN or most favored nation is a status in trading, which means all countries in the MFN list will get the same treatment when it comes to trade. For example, if China and India both have MFN status with the United States, if the US lowers the tariffs on Chinese steel by
Then they also get a 20% deduction.
20%, it must also lower the tariffs on Indian steel by 20% to keep it fair.
Yeah, no, I think that's dope. That's so. In other words, like I said, Trump's looking over at India, and they're like underneath the table, like, "I got you, bro."
But if a country loses its MFN status, US can and will increase taxes on Chinese goods without increasing it on Indian goods. And this means India has three massive advantages. Number one, India can tap into this huge gap to increase its exports to the US. Secondly, the US-China trade war and China's exclusion from the MFN status will accelerate the relocation of manufacturing plants, assembly lines, and supply chains all the way from China to India. And this will help us create jobs in India. And lastly, India will be able to leverage this newfound status to forge deeper economic and diplomatic ties with the Western powers. So, our influence in the world trade will increase. Secondly, the impact that Trump will have on the IT industry of India will be very, very significant. According to this Business Standard article, Indian IT service industry exports 54% of their output to the United States. And now, due to Trump, they could face some serious challenges because of Trump's anti-immigration stance.
I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country.
He's not against immigration. He's against illegal immigration. We have a way to get into the United States. We just want people to follow that way. Could that way be reformed, made a little easier, made a little bit more systematic? Absolutely. And I think with AI and Trump, or with Vivek and Elon coming in backing Trump, I think a lot of these things could actually be implemented and be implemented swiftly.
Today, our cities are flooded with illegal aliens. Americans are being squeezed out of the labor force and their jobs are taken. And it's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing.
Long story short, Trump wants to make it very difficult for foreign students and
there's some people. Trump is a good example of this slogan of when you're taking, you see somebody who's like a large character with a large personality, says crazy things. Don't take them literally. You could take them seriously, right? You could take what they say, but don't take it literally. Try to read between the lines a little bit and use your noggin, use some critical thinking to try to pick up what they're putting down. Don't literally hear what they're saying and literally think that they're going to try to do 100% of what they're trying to say. Speaking hyperbole, always working on a deal, always trying to negotiate something like playing 3 or 4D chess.
Professionals to get visas to study and work in the US. And the reason is pretty simple. He wants to give those jobs to the US citizens. So all companies like TCS, Wipro and Infosys, they might have to take a hit because they'll have to hire talent in the US and not send Indians. And that will make it very, very costly for them. And it's not something that is happening for the first time. This has happened.
That's not true. That's not true at all, because a company could just a company could have its process fill up all the jobs and then still outsource that specific department, right? That whole department where you don't have to hire anybody for it. You just outsource that outwhere and just say, hey, that's not a part of our company, right? Our company does this, and we have a great relationship with this company out here that's being outsourced, and X, Y, and Z. I don't. This is not true 100%.
Happened before as well. Look at this. In 2016, the denial rate for H-1B visa was just 10%. But after Trump took office, by 2018, it peaked to 24%. So with Trump back in office, we might see more rejections for the H-1B visas. And this means 3 things for India. Number 1, less opportunity for Indians in the US unless they're super talented. Number 2, great opportunity for India because more Indian engineers will stay back in India. And lastly, if you're an incompetent engineer in India, then life will be very tough because India will have better engineers. If this is very, very clear to you, let's move on to the next sector, which is pharmaceuticals. People in the United States.
I also think that India is probably going to naturally retain a lot more of its engineers, CEO type individuals. One, just because they're going to have inspiration to see it over here with like Microsoft, with Google, Vivek now. There's so many Indian-based leaders over here in America that I'm sure over in India it's going to inspire many people to try to be the same thing over there. And with such a young population and at a time in human history with AI and everything, India like by the end of Trump's next term could be a superpower in the world, overtaking China or Russia. I'm trying to figure out which one. I think it's going to be Russia, but I think India is in a really cool position to launch itself forward and establish itself as a global superpower.
It is super duper important for the Indian pharma industry because US literally accounts for 31% of Indian pharma exports. And now Trump has something that could impact our companies. Trump's stance on pharma is that he wants to reduce the prices of drugs in America. And did you know that Americans are charged twice as compared to other countries for the exact same drug? In fact, patients in the US are forced to spend 5 times more on a common
Oh, I know.
breast cancer medication than patients in other countries. This is primarily said to happen due to lobbying, whereby companies come together to purposefully increase the price together so that all companies can increase their margins. And this is causing a big pain for American patients. But now, Trump wants to change this. In fact, in his last tenure, Trump capped insulin costs for many senior citizens at just $35 a month. Now, you might think, how is this going to impact the Indian pharma industry? Well, as it turns out, Indian companies primarily survived in the US due to the high cost of the American companies, because of which they could sell generic drugs at low cost. But now, if all companies have to reduce their price, then Indian pharma companies will see their margins reduce. The next sector that will take a hit is the automobile sector. To tell you about it,
See, I'm seeing all of these things. I think with Trump coming in office, I think it could actually be a benefit. I disagree with a lot of this, where I think we could see maybe just a different kind of relationship. And maybe different doesn't mean more. Different is different. But I think ultimately, I think it's a good kind of different. I don't think it's coming at it with any type of malice or like bad intent. I think it's a good, like, wanting to build good, healthy, sustainable relationships for both sides.
US is India's biggest market for auto components, and it made up 27% of our exports in FY24. But as it turns out, Donald Trump supports fossil fuels and he is not pro EVs.
On day one, I will terminate Crooked Joe's ridiculous electric vehicle mandate. If you want to drive down to the store to buy clothing, or if you want to do something locally, it's fun. But these cars don't go very far.
Now, I know this is quite surprising because
Okay, the EV thing though, we're supposed to have like all EV, like all new cars are supposed to be EV by 2030. That's 6 years. That's the plan. It's not like he's against EVs in general. Just the plan, once more, that is being laid out in front of him is just, it's a little crazy, right? And we're like, we can't do this. This is insane. That's what he's talking about Crooked Joe's plan.
Elon Musk himself endorsed Trump. But nonetheless, Trump is expected to cut subsidies on EVs for both customers and manufacturers. And this will again slow down EV sales in the US. That could have a short-term impact on Indian auto component players who export their components to.
If a man really hated ads, here's what he would do. Day one, he would install Pi on his computer without
US. One example is Sona BLW, which has an 80% order book dependent on EVs. Secondly, because of Trump's America First policy, he wants to stop manufacturing components in countries like China and Mexico, and he wants to bring back manufacturing into the United States. And this might again hamper our auto export industry. Thirdly, Trump has promised to boost infrastructure spending for transportation, and if this happens, we could see a jump in demand for these Class 8 trucks. And here's where companies like Bharat Forge and RK Forging will benefit, because they provide key parts for heavy-duty trucks to America. At the same time, if the administration follows through on massive infrastructure projects, the demand for steel could surge, which will again benefit Indian companies that export steel to the United States. So
see what I'm saying? It could be a different kind of relationship where some areas definitely feel a hit, but other areas are going to see an increase. And hopefully, fingers crossed, both sides can thrive and win off of it. I don't think it's a negative thing, right? Don't get your panties in a wad when he says, I'm gonna apply 100% tariffs.
His trade war with China could really open new doors in the hybrid, heavy truck segments and even IC engine market for India. If this is very clear to you, let's come to the solar industry of India. Now, like I already said, Trump can now increase the import tariffs up to 60% or even higher on Chinese goods. And this means Indian components will soon become cheaper in the US market. And this will again benefit companies like Vari Energies, whose 67% revenue is coming from the United States itself. We've made a complete case study on Vari Energies and you must check it out from the link in the description. Moving on, there is one more impact that Trump will have on the Indian market, and that are higher loan rates in India. But the question is, how is that possible? Well, that is because analysts say that if Trump suddenly imposes tariffs on imported goods in the US, it would cause inflation in the US. And to counter this inflation, the Feds might increase their interest rates. And when the Feds in the US increase their interest rates, it means even RBI might not be able to lower its interest rates in India. As in, RBI will also start charging higher interest rates to HDFC-like banks, who will then charge more interest rates to customers like you and
all I gotta say, this is not financial advice, but if you invest in crypto, Bitcoin, things like XRP, Solana, a couple other ones, you don't have to worry about this at all. You can have your money nice, safe, and on a decentralized platform.
And if the interest rates go up, the loans will get more expensive and the Indian economy will slow down due to less consumption. And again, we've made a detailed case study on these repo rates and their impact on the Indian economy, and you can find the video from the link in the description. So in summary, H-1B visas will get tougher to get, Russia will benefit, oil prices may come down if Russian oil is back in the market, steel companies will benefit due to infra growth, solar companies will benefit due to US-China trade war, auto component exporters will benefit due to infrastructure growth in the US, EV component companies may suffer a setback due to Trump being anti-EV, Indian exporters who can compete with Chinese prices will benefit due to the US-China trade war, Indian pharma companies may see their margins decrease, and lastly, if inflation happens in the US, which leads to interest hikes, it might result into more interest rates here in India.
Oh, I think we're about to go into a booming economy. I wouldn't be too worried about the interest rates,
which will eventually increase our loan rates. Eventually, our consumption in the economy will slow down. This is how Trump might affect India in the near future. And I'm attaching the complete report of Phillip Capital in the description so that you can read through all other details that I haven't covered in this episode.
This guy does such a good job on these videos. I don't agree with all of what he says, but ultimately we're kind of getting to the same thing, that it's going to be a different kind of relationship. Some sectors are going to probably take a hit because they've had a bloated deal, a bloated contract that needs to get reformed and lean out so both sides can to thrive. And as America goes through this next phase, I'm hoping we're, quote unquote, if we're going to treat ourselves like a person, we're losing the fat, we're leaning out, we're working out, we're trying to get ready like we're a Rocky Balboa movie. And hopefully we can by getting better and stronger, we can help the world become better and stronger, and create some cool relationships and better relationships with India. And I don't know what's going on over in Europe, but hopefully there's no war that breaks out and we can focus on being better, not fighting, right? Ultimately, that's what I think. But let me go get Lo. She was bitching about something. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, then please like the video, subscribe, and if you really like it, then share it with some of your friends. My goal here is to spread a positive message while sprinkling my 2 cents on big topics like American, Indian, and world geopolitics, and even small stuff like Twitch drama and online debacles. And if you want to see it live, come join me over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/ActuallyElrod. That's where I'm going to do all my reactions, and after the reactions, that's where we get down a game. And if you're like, hey, I have a video that I want this dude to sprinkle his 2 cents on, then come over on my Discord and let me know and join the community there. And while we're at it, I have to say thank you to everybody who has made that Discord just so poppin'. I never thought I'd have a Discord that's so flowing. It's really cool to see. Shout out to you, Bobby, Omni, Demon, all of you who have been in there who are just super active. Logie, you're the man. Logie is the one who's like modding and helping run the server, so thank you, Logie. Lastly, I challenge you. I have a challenge for you. Make somebody laugh today. We all know there's enough hate and vitriol in the world. If energy is contagious like the flu, then let's spread and get everyone contagious with our positive energy, right? Not negative energy, because there's so much of that. And if we could just be a small little change in someone's day, then you never know. Maybe that's the thing that starts shifting this world to a happier, healthier, just better place. And with all of that said and done, thank you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.